So today is our last day with the virtual back to school week with the International Museum of Art and Science. That is us. And this is the last day that we'll be doing this event, and it's thank you to BBVA Foundation. So we have it right here. We're very, very thankful, and we have been loving your feedback. We've been loving your engagement. So we just want to say thank you for that as well. Now, a huge part of making this possible is actually one of my coworkers, Selena. So I am going to quickly put on my mask so that you all can see who Selena is. And if I'm not talking loud enough, just let me know. So let me put on my mask. I can introduce you to Selena. Welcome. Welcome to our show.
Hi, I'm the voice behind the camera.
So Selena is in charge of taking your comments, so please engage with us, comment anything that you'd like. Come back here, Selena. So Selena is part of our education department, and we are here to preserve and expand and help you learn about arts and sciences through our educational programs. And Selena is a huge part of our Workshop Wednesdays. So if you haven't seen our Workshop Wednesdays, we have tons of them online and on our YouTube channel. And this is the mastermind behind our Workshop Wednesdays that you've been seeing recently. Yes.
Yeah, so now our Workshop Wednesdays are going to be once a month. The next upcoming one is next week. We usually post it to Instagram right away in the morning. And you can also find it on our website and YouTube channel. Next week we're doing watercolor, and we're going to be celebrating something next week, which is announced today. You can say it, right?
Yes.
The Hubble 30th anniversary.
Yes. So if you tuned in yesterday for our watercolor part of our virtual back to school event, Selena will actually do the Hubble watercolor that will be on August 12th. So round of applause for you, Selena. Thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and take off my mask. So thank you, Selena. If you have any comments about how your week's been, if you've been to any of the other Facebook Lives, let us know. We love feedback. We also love doing art and science education. So if there's anything specific that you're looking forward to, something that you want to see at the museum, go ahead and give us a suggestion. We're here for you. You're part of our community, and we're glad to give back to the community. So that is why we are here. Now, today is our last day, and we're going to be doing something a little more science related. So we're going to be doing freshwater microbes. So if you did have time to get a kit, it is for 6th to 8th grade, which is our middle school age group. And what it consists of is a freshwater microbes printout. If you did not get a kit, you can actually print this on our website. We have the PDF on there. So you will need this for today, a pencil. You will need a piece of tracing paper, half is fine. And then, you know what? If you don't have tracing paper at home, I was thinking you can probably use parchment paper. If you have parchment paper or wax paper, I know we always have that in our house. So you can use that. Some scissors, some markers. You can use color pencils, crayons, whatever you have at home. I'm going to use markers today. Glue. It doesn't have to be a glue stick. Any glue is fine. This is just easier for me. And then some tape. I might use a tape instead of glue for some parts. So if you did get a kit, you got stuff from BBVA Foundation, you got stuff from McAllen Public Utility, you got stuff from the McAllen Public Library, you got so much stuff in your goodie bags. So if you picked one up, thank you. If you didn't, we hope that you can do this activity with us. And if you can't do it right now at this time, you can just watch and you can print it out later if you'd like. So right here, I have my example that I made, and I actually made this one with color pencil. So you can see that we have our freshwater body, and I'll actually be talking a little bit about water as we're doing the activity. And then on the bottom, on the inside, you can see all of our freshwater microbes. So you can see that all of these live in our freshwater body, even though we can't see them. So this is what we'll be making today. So yeah, we're gonna get started. So right here, if you have this paper printed out, we're gonna start by cutting it in half, okay? Now, if you picked up a kit or if you're joining in and you're in middle school, let me know what grade you're in.
We actually have Hadassah in the chat.
Yeah?
Yeah, from McAllen.
Awesome. What grade are you going into? Let me know. Middle school science was really fun. One of my most memorable moments was actually dissecting a frog, which I know can be expensive. So thank you, public educators, for giving your time and your money to make things possible like that for students. I know it is a very hard job. It's very expensive and it's very laborious hour-wise. So thank you for the job that you do. And so right here, what I actually like to do first is I like to cut out all my pieces. So like right now, I just cut out a big chunk so that I can cut them into smaller pieces and then kind of cut around them nicely. Now, when I did mine over here, I wanted to make sure that I had all of my water microbes in my water body. So what I did first was I glued them, and then I kind of traced my water body to make sure I got all of them in there. So that's what we're gonna do right now. So as I'm cutting my pieces, let me know if you have any questions. What do you look forward to in middle school? I know Selena, we're around the same age, so I know a big thing was you had this cool mesh backpack in different colors, and you had your own locker, which we didn't have in elementary, so middle school, we had lockers, and that was really something momentous, having your own locker, and getting to put your books in there, a bigger library.
I always liked those shelves you could put in your locker.
Yes.
That was so helpful.
Stuff with magnets. So once we finish cutting, I'll kind of go over what these microbes are, because we do find them in a lot of water bodies. You just can't see them. And if I go too fast, just let me know.
Hadassah's going into 6th grade.
Ooh, congratulations.
That's exciting, going into middle school. A whole new world.
It is. I remember being so nervous I couldn't sleep before my first day in 6th grade, because I was so nervous about having 8 different periods and 8 different classes. I was used to being in one classroom, but it was really exciting after the first day. It's like you started looking forward to the next day. I know it's going to be virtual for a while, but it's still, it's still a big step.
I think that's a benefit for some people because they get to meet them before they actually meet them, like their new classmates.
Especially if you're shy. I was very shy all through grade school, and it wasn't until college that you start doing a lot of work with presentations, and then you kind of get used to presenting, and you get used to talking to people, and then you're not so shy anymore. Buying gel pens was also fun.
Oh my gosh,
I
love
look
gel
forward to
pens.
buying gel pens every school year.
And I think gel pens are a thing again.
Yeah. Now when you go to middle school science classrooms, most of the time they have more equipment and you get to use a lot more stuff, which is really cool. And you get to do a lot more hands-on stuff, which is really nice.
I love the science activities. I love science activities in general, hands-on.
I know we do dissections here at the museum very special times out of the year. So I know that they can be expensive. So when we did them in middle school, I was really grateful for that.
We got Diana
Uh-huh.
Corona in the comments. She's telling you you're doing a great job.
Oh, thank you.
She's from the McAllen Public Library. She's a McAllen Public Library librarian.
Thank you, Diana. Thank you. Thank you for the work that you do, and thank you for being part of this event. So, right here, I have all of my microbes, and we specifically did freshwater microbes. So, when we look at Earth as a whole, we have so much water. That's why they call us the blue marble, right? We have a lot of water on our surface, but a lot of it is salt water. All of our oceans are salt water. You know, when you go to the beach and you get water in your mouth, it's really salty, right? It's not very delicious. So there is a small percentage of fresh water in the world. So right here in the valley, we have the Rio Grande Valley River, which a lot of us love. You know, a lot of us have been brought up by the Rio Grande Valley River. It's very important to us. That is a fresh water source. So that actually comes from the mountains in Colorado, if you didn't know. So the fresh water eventually trickles down from Colorado and makes its way to the Rio Grande Valley. So that is a freshwater body. We also have lakes, ponds, and we do have some wetlands. So right here, we are going to make a freshwater body. You can make a lake, you can make a pond, you can make a wetland. I'm not sure which one I'm going to make yet, but as I'm gluing them, I'm going to talk to you about them a little bit. So let's see, which one's the first one that I'm going to glue in? We have bacteria. So bacteria can be beneficial, but it can also be very harmful. So this is something that you find in a freshwater body. Now we have two protists here. So you can see that they look a little bit different. One has cilia or hair-like structures around it and one does not. So if you see this cilia around it, that's actually what helps it move around, and it's got a little tail too. That's kind of how it navigates. This is more like a little blob. So that is cilia, and these are two protists so that you can see that they all don't look the same, and there's actually a lot of different species. It's not just one thing. So I'm going to glue my two protists. Put one here, and then I'll put one over here. Now, all of these that you see are microscopic, so you're not going to see them with your naked eye unless you have a special tool like a microscope. Now, this can be very expensive too. So we do have a few at the museum that we had out, and unfortunately right now we're doing no touching, so we have put them away, but hopefully when things, you know, do improve, hopefully we can take them out again, and you are welcome to come to the museum and use them on our microscope table. I know usually for teachers you have to purchase those out of your pockets for your classroom, so if you'd like, you can always come here or tell your students if they want to come use our microscope when, you know, when we put them back out. So right here, if you look at this, this is a tardigrade, and we put in parentheses water bear, because you can find these in land and water, but you mostly find them in water, hence the name water bear. And it kind of looks like a bear when you see the face, right? So these are our water bears. There are hundreds and thousands of them in water usually, and they are fairly large. So the difference between these that you see here and the water bear is they kind of have a very hard shell on the outside, kind of like an exoskeleton that they call a cuticle. So the tardigrade is a little bit special. and it munches on the food. You can see it munching when you look under a microscope, and that's kind of cool too. Now last, I'm gonna put my zooplankton.
Plankton, like from SpongeBob?
Kind of. This one doesn't have one eye. So when we look at these, you can see that they all look pretty different. So we have a term that's called taxonomy, and that is how we organize species so that we have a better understanding of them. So when we organize things, you can think of like clothing. Like if you're trying to understand taxonomy, organizing species, think of kind of like the way you organize your clothes. Socks usually have 2 rounded edges and 1 flat edge. So you know if you find something and it has 2 round edges and kind of looks like a tube and 1 flat edge, you can be like, hey, that's a sock, right? If you find a t-shirt and it has, you know, a cut for your head and it has 2 sleeves, you can be like, hey, that's a t-shirt. You wear this on this part of the body. So think of a pile of clothes that you got out of the dryer, and you organize them by the way they look. These are t-shirts, these are pants, these are socks. We kind of do the same with species, and that allows us to have a better understanding. Hey, this new species I found, I know that it's warm-blooded and it has 4 limbs, so it can't be a bird, maybe it's a mammal. So it starts allowing you to understand what it is, and so that you can kind of explore and understand its behaviors. So if it's part of this group, it must have these kinds of behaviors. We know that if it's warm-blooded, it's going to need food for energy because we're constantly burning energy. So that's what taxonomy is, so organization of species. So right here we have all different kinds. So what we're going to do next is we're actually going to tape or glue our tracing paper on top. So you can see right here, I'm actually going to tape it because it's a little easier for me. But if you want to glue it, that's fine. If you want to glue it later on, that's totally fine as well. I'm going to tape mine. I'm not the cleanest artist anyway, so this will help me. If you're doing it, let me know how you're doing. I'd love to see your progress and how your freshwater body comes out. So my tracing paper is a little big, and that's totally fine. We can always trim it at the very end. But if you see right here, with our tracing paper on top, you can kind of see your freshwater microbes. So what I'm going to do is with my pencil, I'm actually going to draw where my water body is, or where I want it to be. So while we're doing this, if you have any middle school memories, maybe if you're not in middle school, let us know. What was your favorite part of middle school? If you're in middle school, I know we're gonna start virtual, but let me know what you look forward to. What class are you excited about? Because now we have more options. I know some public schools, you have extracurricular activities that you can join. I believe art is part of middle school too, something that you can pick for your elective. So that's pretty cool. So right here we have our freshwater body, and I wouldn't say I'm a perfectionist, but I like to kind of plan things before I do it, which is why I put our outline for our freshwater body. And what I'm actually gonna do is I'm gonna say it's gonna be a lake, and I'm actually gonna make a layout around it. So if you wanna join me and make your dream lake, or make your dream pond, or make your dream wetland, I'm gonna put a little trail that comes to our lake, or whatever water body you want to have. And have some gravel in there, and I'll color it and marker in just a bit.
Oh, Kristen mentioned earlier that her little sister's going into 10th grade and brother into 9th.
Ooh. Those are fun grades too. That's a little bit more of the age group where you learn about taxonomy and you learn about photosynthesis, all this great stuff that makes nature so beautiful. I'll do another pathway right here. Now I'm going to add some plants to mine, and I don't know about you, but I love native plants. So if you don't know what native plants are, it's plants that are native to our area. And what's so beneficial about those types of plants is that they thrive here because they're used to the drought, they're used to the brutal sun. So they're not like ornamental flowers that are from Washington or Oregon that you plant here and then they don't survive. That's usually because they need more water. They have conditions that aren't so harsh. So what I'm gonna do right here is I'm gonna put a little shrub, and I'm gonna put a flower that's called Turk's Cap. You've probably seen them around. They are a shrub that have these little red flowers. That have part of their segment sticking out. And the hummingbirds love these flowers. So do butterflies. But a lot of hummingbirds love these flowers, and they're called Turk's Cap. So we'll color them in a little bit. And these do really well here because they are a native plant. Now I love daisies, so I'm gonna put some daisies over here. You might see some daisies that look a little yellow. There's many different species, many different types, right? But these ones are, I'm gonna call them Engelmann's daisies. It's a species that do very well here. So I'm gonna put them right here, and I'm gonna put little grass around them and little leaves. And then right here by my trail, I wanna put a yucca plant. Now, I'm not a pro at landscaping. I'm just putting some of my favorite plants. So a yucca plant, if you've ever seen one, I can actually draw it like this for you so you can see it a little bit better. Sometimes they call it a Spanish dagger because you can see that it has these dagger-like parts to it. And then it has this beautiful cluster of flowers that grow on it like this. And they're white. Now they don't bloom all year, so when they do bloom, you can actually pick out the flowers and you can eat them. You can saute them. You can even pickle them. So I actually went to a presentation about edible native plants, and the lady who was actually giving the presentation actually pickled the flowers of the yucca, and they were amazing. They were beyond amazing. So that's my layout. I have my little gravel area that leads to my freshwater source. I have some of my native plants that do well in our region. So I have the yucca plant, I have the Engelmann's daisies, and I have Turk's Cap. And then I have another little pathway here. And here we have our freshwater body with all of our microbes in it. So now is the time to be creative. This is where I am going to allow you to use your color pencils, your markers, or your crayons, whatever colors that you have, to start decorating it. So that's what I'm going to do right now.
Anne actually, she said that she didn't know that you could, or I don't think she knew you could pickle the flowers, and she loves pickles.
Yes, I love pickles too. They don't last as long as pickles, so right after you make them, they'll probably last maybe a couple weeks at best, but they are very delicious. just like a pickle, but you have that soft, velvety flour texture, and it's really amazing. Now, if you've seen, you can even put a little ebony tree in your landscape. So an ebony tree, if you can't distinct it, it kind of looks like a mesquite tree, but its limbs are very thorny, and they grow little pods, a little bit fatter than the mesquite tree, and the little beans in them are edible as well. You can, when they are ready, you can actually grind them and make a kind of like a coffee substitute, although we do not know if it has any caffeine content, because it is expensive to do the test to do that, but it tastes amazing. The beans taste great too, especially if you're out on a little hike. You need a little snack, or you're trying to survive, you get lost, you can always eat those. I'm just gonna marker mine in. So let me know if you have any questions for me or Selena. Selena is one of our artists here. So if you can tell by my art here, I'm not a very big artist when it comes to markers or anything liquidy. But Selena is a wonderful artist. If you're interested in calligraphy, we have a workshop Wednesday video where Selena will actually teach you some of the basics. And it's actually uploaded on our YouTube, so there's no need to, schedule it and be like, oh my God, I missed it. We have it recorded for you if you want to look at it.
Yeah, and all of the Workshop Wednesday videos, they're mainly targeted for children, I think ages 6 to 12, but of course they are very easy to manipulate if you want to help a younger child do it, or definitely fun also for adults. I mean, I had fun making them.
I had fun doing it too. There are some videos that seem very difficult, and Selena broke it down really nicely, so that helped a lot.
Thank you. So what is your fresh body water out there that you're making?
I think I'm going to make this a lake. Now, this water is something you don't want to drink. So when you look at a freshwater body, just like our Rio Grande River, a lake, anything, even if it looks clear, you got to realize that a lot of these organisms live in it, and not all of them are good. Some are going to be bad, and some can make you very sick. So you never want to drink that water, even if it looks clear. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna mention that I think I've seen a movie where someone's hiking and they find a little pool of water in the grass and mud, and they are in desperate need of water, so they pick it up, they put it in a jar, but then they use some tablets to help clean it and filter it, so that way it's drinkable. I thought that was really interesting.
If you are interested in that, let me know in the comments. Selena thinks it's cool.
I do. I think it's so cool.
I think it's super cool. So I did some volunteering with scouting, and I love to be outdoors, and I actually do some of the scouting programs here. But when it comes to, finding water in the wild, that's something that I really enjoy, and I actually made a lesson for a couple months ago. So when it comes to tablets, if you're interested, I can tell you a little bit more about doing that process efficiently, because there are ways that you can do the tablets and you can still get sick because you might do one step wrong. And it's the same for, let's say you're out in the middle of nowhere, especially in a desert-like area. It's better, if you don't really have a lot of options, it's better to drink flowing water, if you find flowing water, than stagnant water. So that's water that's staying still. So let's say, I'm almost done with my freshwater lake right here. Let's say this is a lake. Let's say you're lost, right? And this is a lake and you're so thirsty for water, and you see a lake here, and you see a small puddle of water here, and then you see a river, and you have an option. The best choice would be the river because it's constantly flowing, so it's not allowing stuff to stay and to develop more bacteria and stuff like that. So think of like a water hole, especially right now that it's just rained and it's just staying there. It's gonna have stuff falling on it. It's gonna start producing a lot of these organisms, good and bad. And then mosquitoes love to lay their eggs on still water. So if you have still water right now somewhere around your house, throw it away and try to refill it every day. Kind of like dog bowls, you know, our water bowls for our animals. You want to try to replace those every day because mosquitoes love laying eggs in those. So if you're out in the wild and you have a choice between stagnant water, still water, or running water, choose running water. So right here, I'm going to make my little trail, pretty little gravel trail. But yeah, let me know if you have any other freshwater questions, especially when it comes to drinking fresh water.
I think this is Hadassah asking, how about a pool?
Pool water, it's usually chlorified. If you accidentally drink some, you know, it's not the best. But pools are usually have chemicals in it and stuff that shouldn't or are not supposed to harm you, but are also not encouraged to drink. That's why sometimes if you see a frog jump in your pool because it's desperate for water, they can get sick because it does have those chemicals in it and their skin is porous, which means that they're going to absorb that into their body, kind of like a sponge. So think of like, let's say this is my cute little toad and it's desperate for water and it jumps in the pool. All of that water, it's gonna be like a sponge, so it's gonna soak all that water in, and then it gets all those chemicals in its body, and it can get very sick. It would be like us drinking the water, except toads and amphibians that have porous skin, they're a little bit more sensitive. We actually call them water quality detectors, because they can tell you usually if something's wrong or there's something bad in the water by the way they react. So this is my little shrub with my Turk's cat. Remember that, Turk's cat.
Do we have those here, you said?
Yes, we do. So if you look up Turk's cat. Beautiful shrub with red flowers, and they're also beneficial, not just because they're pretty, but because they benefit other species.
Makes me think of hibiscus flower.
Yeah. It's got that rich red color just like that. Except this one doesn't grow very high. So it's pretty low. And then right here, I can actually do this one for you like this, guys. And I'm going to get, since I don't have a very yellowy color, I'm going to make my Engelmann's daisies a little more neutral. But we know the daisies are there. do like hibiscus, we do have some around the museum. You'll find them in the sculpture garden. So right between our two buildings, we have a sculpture garden with a few sculptures that are really pretty cool when you read their description. And we've got a little pathway with some beautiful flowers. Now, right here, I'm gonna do my Spanish dagger, or my yucca plant. I'm just gonna outline the flowers, since they are white. Sometimes you can see a little red in them. They're really pretty flowers. And I'll add some to my gravel, some definition. So, as you can see, I'll go ahead and add some more green around since it looks kind of lonely. Now, as you can tell, I'm not the best artist, but if you do love art, we have our art walk tonight. So if you haven't seen our virtual art walk, we are doing that tonight at 6 p.m. or I should say we are part of the art walk. It starts at 6 p.m. and if you want to, it's on YouTube by the McAllen Creative Incubator. So there's going to be some artists featured, really cool artists, and we will be part of that art walk as well.
Also some dancing, I believe, and
Ooh.
I think I saw someone who's a baker that's coming out.
A baker? Oh my
Mhm.
goodness. You got me with baker. Also art. I don't think I ever got into art skills such as these, usually because I smudge. I smudge whatever it is since I'm left-handed. Makes it kind of difficult.
Oh, we have someone that commented that they put their frog in a pool and it passed away.
Yes, that does happen.
Yeah.
So like I said, they are water quality indicators. They're very, very sensitive animals. And sensitive, I don't mean like you're not gonna hurt their feelings. It's more sensitive that anything can affect them very easily. So usually what I tell people is that if you see toads or frogs in your water sources, maybe your crevices around your house, and they're thriving, they're doing well, that's a good sign. Don't get scared. That's telling you that they can live where you are because your soil doesn't have anything that's going to give them any toxins. The water's not polluted enough where they're going to either pass away or get really sick. So that's a great sign if you have them around. Don't get scared. So the last thing I'm going to add is a cat's tail. So you might see these usually around water areas. They're very, very tall and they have this very long, elongated brown part that looks like a cat's tail. They can be both beneficial or a nuisance, depending on the environment. So you can see these by canals too. You'll definitely see them Now, the reason why they can be beneficial is depending on their area. If they're beneficial, it's usually because they are helping with erosion. Think about a storm and everything's flooding. All of this right here is going to catch some of that pollution so that it's easier to pick up and it doesn't get to our major rivers that eventually goes to the ocean. Now, if you have a shallow area like a wetland, then they can, you know, they can be a nuisance because then they'll start to overgrow. They'll kind of take over. So it just depends. So as we're getting towards the end, please let me know if you have any questions. I know some of you are eager to visit, so we are open and admission is only $1. And that's just because we are a very hands-on museum, so we do have some areas closed, which reflects on the admission price. But the cool thing is that today we're launching our Hubble 30th image right in front of our museum. So if you want to take a picture with our Hubble image, we are doing that in the front of the museum, as long as you social distance, please. Wear your masks, but take an image and tag us. And if you did this activity, tag us on IMAS Artists. But yeah, the Hubble, we were one of many places that were selected, and not all places got selected, so we're really lucky to have this blown up image that was taken by Hubble in one of the space shuttles called Discovery. So we are really lucky to have that. So if you want to take a photo, you don't even have to come to the museum. It's right outside. And if you do want to come in, we have our biozone room open. We have our art galleries open. You can take a stroll through the sculpture garden, and then you can finish it off with our virtual art walk. So yeah, and then of course you don't want to miss our workshop Wednesday with Selena. So as we're finishing up, Selena, do you want to get ready to say goodbye?
Yeah.
I'll put my mask on so you can come and join me.
Let me make sure I can fit myself in there.
Yeah, with our social distancing, of course. I'll put my markers on.
Hello again.
So I just want to thank everyone for tuning in. If you have any questions and you missed it, go ahead and still leave us a comment. We're here for you. If there's anything, you know, that we can try to do for you, anything that you want to see at the museum, art or science related, let us know. You know, we are part of the community and we are here to serve you. So, you know, let us know. Thank you, Selena, for helping us make this possible, along with our education director, our education team, marketing, everybody at front desk. Everybody here is really important. We work as a large team. And thank you, BBVA Foundation. A huge thanks for allowing us to do these special programs and special activities to make, you know, our virtual back to school week a little bit, you know, sweeter. So,
Especially during this time.
yeah. So if I missed anybody, I'm sorry, but we're very grateful, and yeah, we're here. We'll be here. So yeah, if you want to come see us, we'll be here from Wednesday through Saturday. Just check our times online. But yeah, thank you for joining us. Thank you, everyone.